So many changes are being made in public safety in recent years, including the use of technology for our police departments throughout our local communities. And now some of that new technology is coming to the Keego Harbor Police Department. And here to join us to talk about that new technology and how it will impact public safety in the city of Keego Harbor is their chief, John Fitzgerald. Chief, thank you for being with us.
Morning, Tyler.
Glad to have you on the program. So some new cameras and in-car cameras are on the way for the Keego Harbor Police Department. Let's start from the beginning of this process. When did this come up as a possibility for your department, and what led your department to want to seek this new technology for law enforcement in Keego?
Well, it's been a couple of years in the making. When I got to the department, we had in-car cameras, and body cams were starting to pick up with the departments around the nation. We didn't have the funding to get it started yet, and over the last couple of years, I've been working on it, and we were able to find a grant to keep the cost to the taxpayers down. It's going to fund about a third of the camera cost because our old cameras in the cars have expired out of warranty. They're still running, but they need to be replaced. So we're replacing the in-car cameras along with adding body cams to the officers. So each officer on duty will have a body cam. But we've been working on it for a couple of years, and this year we're able to pull it off with the funding through City Council.
And that funding came through City Council to put this forth. And so, from your perspective as the chief of police and having a long career in law enforcement and other nearby departments and larger departments as well, how can this technology be helpful both for your officers but also for the general community?
We found it to be helpful right off the bat, even when we just put in-car cameras into our cars at the department I retired from earlier. What they do is they protect the city, they protect the officer, and they protect the public because it's an extra eye watching out everything that's going on out there. It also adds evidentiary value because it can pick up some things that you'll now have video of. Now it's not going to pick up everything because the camera only points in one direction, and when you turn, you don't get the peripheral of everything that an officer and people on the scene see. But it can add some definite value towards the evidence, and like I said, it protects the public, the officers, and the city from liability because the officers know they're being watched out there. The public does too, and they've shown that a lot of times people tend to act a little bit better when they know they're going to be on camera, they know they're on camera.
We're joined by Chief John Fitzgerald from the Keego Harbor Police Department as they're bringing in new body cameras and in-vehicle cameras for their officers all throughout the heart of the lakes. You can keep up to date with the Keego Harbor Police Department on their Facebook page at Keego Police. Chief, in terms of the body cams, there's different policies and all different departments across the nation for how they use their body cameras. What's that going to be like for your department? Are these going to be cameras that are going to be on all throughout an officer's shift, or are there certain periods of time where they're going to be required to be used and others where they may not?
There's going to be times where they're required to be used. The in-car cameras come on automatically when you activate the lights and sirens. The policy will define when an officer has to have their camera on, and it's going to be most of the time that they're having contact with citizens and dealing with things on the road. There's private times too when an officer's talking to an officer that the camera's going to be allowed to be turned off. When they're inside the station, it's going to be allowed to be turned off. We're still looking at the legalities of when you go into someone else's house. Sometimes they don't want their house filmed, but for the protection of everybody, we're going to want to keep the cameras on. We're still working out the exact when they can be turned off, when they can be turned on, and looking at the departments that have gone before us, seeing how it's worked out for them. We're going to use their example to help it set it for us.
And as you said earlier on, it's beneficial to our communities as well as to our officers to have these cameras and have this technology available to them. So with this coming into your department, the body cameras being a new addition and these in-car cameras being a much-needed upgrade, what's the response been like from your officers knowing that this technology is coming in and will be helpful to them going forward?
The response has been very good, and it goes back to when they first started putting the cameras in the cars, that officers were scared that somebody's going to be looking over their shoulder at every little thing, every little mistake they make, and it hasn't turned out to be that way at all. It's actually come up to help them a lot of times when they've been accused of things. It's helped them document their evidence, and when you put it on a body cam instead of just the in-car cam, it's going to cover a lot more area where the officer's going to because the car camera just looks out the front windshield of the car, wherever that car is parked. Now you're going to have something picking up more of what's going on with the officer as he's moving about and around away from the car.
More information and updates from the Keego Harbor Police Department about public safety in the heart of the lakes can be found on Facebook at Keego Police, or you can also keep up to date with them and get in contact with the Keego Harbor Police Department by finding their information on KeegoHarbor.org. Chief, it's also the winter season. A lot of people like to venture onto our lakes all throughout the year, including during the winter, whether it's for ice fishing or for other activities, skating, playing hockey, and so on and so forth. But there are certain considerations that need to be made for people to go out on that water safely, especially in what often is a variable weather pattern throughout the winter. What should people be considering before they go out onto the ice?
Well, we just got our ice a couple of weeks ago for the first time, so then it's thawed again. It's been rained on. I personally am not a big fan of going out on the ice, but I know a lot of people love to get out there, ice fish, ice skate, drive their snowmobiles, their ATVs. So the thing you want to look for is the ice thickness. But even if you know the thickness at one point, all around a lake, it's going to change. It all depends on where the sun's been hitting the ice to melt some of it. The currents underneath the ice, if there's springs underneath there, you could be on very solid ice, and a few steps to the other direction, it could be too thin for you to stand on. It's always probably safest to watch where other people are going and where they're at. If they're out there skating at a certain point, that might be one of the safest places. But there's a couple of depth gauges on the ice to remember. The ice should be at least 4 inches thick to start walking on it, skating, and fishing. And I've had people go, well, how am I supposed to know how thick it is until I get out on the ice? And that's one of those questions. But you would start near the shore where you know it's not deep enough for you to go all the way in, and you use an auger or a ice pick, and you chip through, and then you can take a tape measure and hook it under the bottom of the ice to figure out how thick the ice is. But there's guidelines of, like I said, 4 inches for just going out walking or skating on the ice. You want it up to 5 to 6 inches for snowmobiles and ATVs. You want to get it up to 8 to 12 inches if you're going to drive your small car or your small truck or your car out on the ice to go out ice fishing somewhere, and at least 12 to 15 inches deep for a medium truck. Also, if you do take a vehicle out on the ice and you're out there for a while, remember to move that car around. Apparently, when it sits at one spot, it can stress the ice where it's sitting at and eventually actually break through. So move that car around a little bit if you're out there for a while. But just double check that ice thickness, and if you have any questions, don't go out on the ice, because if you go through, it could be a while before anybody can get there to help you out. And that brings me to another thing, is if you're going on the ice, there's a couple things you should take with you as you're going out. A couple of ice picks that are available to you, so you can help pull yourself out of the water if you go through the ice. Even bring a life jacket with you, which can be very helpful. A rope that you could throw. So just a couple of safety measures you can take along with you.
Yeah, and as we showed on that graphic earlier, it's also posted on their Facebook page at Keego Police. You can find that full graphic with even more advice. It also encourages you not to go out there alone. As Chief had said, if you're out there alone and you fall through the ice, you have an emergency, it may be tougher for you to get in communication with someone or for someone to find you in a timely manner to prevent further medical issues or, of course, life or death situations you may find yourself in. So having that buddy out there with you is just one more person that can be helpful in those situations. Chief, anything else that we should be aware of in the city of Keego Harbor or nearby areas on the public safety front at this time?
At the moment, things are going pretty well. Once again, as always, I remind our visitors and our residents to lock your car doors, remove your valuables from your car. That's one of the things that probably crimes that happens the most is people that don't lock their car door. They come back out and their computer's missing or their phone or whatever they had sitting there. So lock your door and remove your valuables. Reduces your chance of losing some of your valuables. Other than that, Keego Harbor is a very safe city to live in and visit, and we have nothing big going on crime-wise right now.
And whenever there is an update or there's more information needed in the city of Keego Harbor, you can find that on their Facebook page at Keego Police and, of course, on their website at KeegoHarbor.org. Chief Fitz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler. Have a great day.